So we're going to have 3 assemblies. 2 of them are in the book. One of them I'm going to give you drawings and written instructions for. And then the final will be very similar to that last assembly assignment. So I'm going to open a new. And we've got 3 options here. We've been doing parts all semester long. I'm going to select assembly and OK. And once this launches, there's a few different ways to tell that you're in an assembly and not in a part file. You can see the tabs here are different. This is the assembly tab, the layout, sketch is a little bit different. It shows down here editing assembly. I'm going to make sure, actually I don't think it's going to matter. This unit of measure is going to change based on the very first part I bring in, I believe. So when you first open up assembly, the property manager will show this as the begin assembly, and you can select a component to insert or design a top-down using a layout with blocks, and then you create. We don't do the top-down, we do the bottom-up as found in the book. So what I'm going to do to start, and you can actually have the parts open prior to doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and browse, and I'm going to look at my documents and find them here. It's going to be let's try 103 link assembly, and I'm going to select the first part I'm going to bring in is going to be the single link. So I'm going to open that part, and it will populate here, and you can see it's brought in to my window. I'm going to actually do it another way. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to open the part. Let's see if I can do open recent. Let's see if, yeah, it'll open here. This will open separate, and it might be hard to see. Let's see if I minimize this. You can see that I actually have 2 files open. One is my assembly file, and one is my part. One is if I select in this window, it brings the part in. And now that I'm at this position, there's actually something I can do. And if you select window, and you can tile vertically or horizontally. If I tile horizontally, because they're actually not minimized, but they're just they're what's the term? Undocked. I'm going to select tile horizontally, window tile horizontally. And this shows my part file, and you can see the symbol here shows just a yellow Lego brick here, and down here it shows this display of the assembly file that shows the Lego brick, yellow Lego brick with a blue part in here, and I haven't changed this assembly file name, so it still says assem1 with an asterisk. I can toggle between the two, and you can see this ribbon bar is a little more shaded more deeply, slightly more than this. If I select on the part file, then this is the active part file, and you can see this selection bar within the graphics view is also available. So from here, I'm going to go back into my assembly, and you can see these bars change, these tabs change as well. This is the regular part, this is the assembly. So from here, I'm going to actually maximize this, so this will cover now my part file. And to get back to where we were, the same spot, I'm going to select Insert Components. This part is actually open right now. So once I select this and highlight it and move my mouse, I'm going to be able to, it will bring it in, and I'll be able to move this around within my window. Before you start on the assembly, let's select View, Hide Show, Origin, and make sure this origin is on. And I'm going to show you. It's kind of a little bit of a unique way to orient this, but you're going to have to do this on the very first part you bring in. You can see I have my part origin, and I can bring it over like this, and they look like they're mating, but they're actually not connected. But it says in the message box, hit OK button to insert a component at the origin. So you can actually hit enter and it will fix this. It will make the part origin the same as the assembly origin, or I can snap it with my mouse and left mouse button, and that orients the part, and you can see it actually centered the part in my graphics window. If you look at the property manager now, it shows my assembly one with the single link, and it has this little F symbol. So this F symbol is a fixed part. I want the single link fixed. If I right click on this and select float, that F symbol goes away, and then this can be dragged away from my part origin. You can also select, let's see if we can add a mate actually here. Making these coincident. I'm not sure that'll fix it. Let's try it. This point and this point coincident. I'm going to say yes, but let's look at our property manager. It doesn't show this fixed because I should be able to still rotate this relative to the part origin. So there's actually another way to do it. If I select this mate and delete that mate, yes, and move this away. Another way to do this, if you did not fix it when you bring it in, I can select this, right click, and just fix. And now it shows this fixed, and I cannot move this relative to my assembly origin. So I don't care about the orientation or the origin. I just want to make sure this first single link part is fixed. I'm going to zoom out a little, and I'm going to insert more components. I'm going to browse, and I'll bring in the double link, and I'm going to select one, insert, and I can pin this open actually. If you pin this open, the part assembly is not open. But if I pick it again, if it's pinned open, even if the parts aren't opened in SolidWorks, I can still get to them. And now I selected the single link. I'm going to bring 1, 2, 4 of these in. I'm going to browse, and I'm also going to bring in my pin head. And for the pin head, I'm going to bring in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and remember this push pin has to be icon has to be engaged to make sure the property manager is kept visible. I'm going to select browse. The other one is the alignment pin. I'm going to say open, and I'm going to put this one on the other side kind of close to each other. These are the two different pins, and I'm going to select 6 each of these. 1, 2, 3, that's 6. I'm going to say yes. Now, from here, I have all my assemblies in there. And from here, you can see within our tree manager, I've got the single fixed part. It's highlighted blue. The double link part. And I have all of my parts already, 6 alignment pins, 6 pin heads, 3 single links, and 4 double links. 4 single links and 3 double links. And it's just the same as what is shown in the book. And let me look and make sure I have the correct page number for you to reference the view. It's on page number here it is, page number 10-13 of the Basic Tools textbook. So now from here, I need to add mates, but before I add mates, I'm going to make sure I have my name, CHLER, as the author. The title of this is Link Assembly. I'm going to say OK, and I'm also going to do a file save as, and I will rebuild and save. It's going to probably kick me out of this, but I'm going to go ahead onto my, let's go to my desktop, and actually I'm going to make a new folder, and it's going to be M. Buechler Link Assembly. So I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to open this, and I'm going to change this name. Actually, it's going to be my last name first. This is what the naming is. Buechler M. Link Assembly. And the default file extension here is .sldasm. So it will save this at this location, this assembly file. That will change up here in my view, so I'm ready to go on this. From here, I'm going to add the mates. So in the assembly tab, I'm going to select mate. And the first one we'll do, see, this is pre-selected here, so you've got to be careful. This blue box, I'm going to select that and delete it. There's a couple options here. There's standard mates, advanced mates, and mechanical mates. And we're going to actually start with advanced mate. And I'm going to select the width selection. And with the width selection on advanced mates, there's actually, you need to do 2 selections for each box. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to select this face and this face. Manipulate my view so it has face 1, face 2 of this first. This is my fixed, again, my fixed single link. For the tab selection, you can see now this is blue. It automatically goes to the next selection, which is the tab. You have a width and a tab. And I'm going to select this face, rotate it, and select this face. And you can see this part move. This part is fixed. So this part moved to be aligned with this first mate. I'm going to say yes. And if I exit out of the mates and open in the drop-down menu, it's going to show this width mate as the purple width and the orange tab, if you can see that. And this part actually is perfectly aligned between those tabs. Now, if you look at it, if I move it like this, and it might even work different like this, if I move this back and forth, it looks like it's not perfectly in line between those 4 faces. But in fact, let's say I put this on the top of the part like this, so it looks like it's on the top. But if I go to, let's say, this view, you can see that this tab is actually perfectly aligned. And now if I go to this view, this looks like it's not perfectly aligned, correct? Well, let's try it again. In this view, oh, see, it's so far away. I'm going to go to, try it again, into this view. It actually is aligned. It's really hard to see. But if I rotate it ever so slightly, that part is so far away because of the alignment. I've got to drag it all the way down in here. So be very aware of that as you bring these together. If you move this to the side, and then I go to the top view, see, it will show this as still being aligned. It looks like it's not aligned, but trust me, it is aligned. Okay, oh, see, I moved it slightly and you can tell that it's off, and it moved it way out of space here. So I'm going to bring this back close to, I'm going to manipulate my view a little bit, and I'm going to add another mate. And the mate selection, if you select an edge, a circle edge, as well as another circle edge, it will default, and it brings up this little default menu, and it will default to concentric. You can see how it's grayed out a little bit. There's some other options here, but I'm going to say yes. And if I close this out, I can open now with my drop-down menu of my mates. It shows the width mate and the concentric mate. And now you can see that this double link, it will actually rotate onto the other part. That's another interference mate that we can add, but we don't need to do that on this assignment. But it can rotate, but it will not move left to right, and it will not move side to side because of these two mates. So now I'm going to try and do another mate, but I'm going to go in a different order. And this time I'm going to select mate, and I'll select the single link, and then the circle of the double link. Oh, come on. It shows edge and face, so it didn't give me an automatic default to concentric. So this face is incorrect. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to select edge to edge, around edge to edge, and have this be concentric. Yes. Now that is locked in place, but with this mate, I can still move this side to side. So it looks, it looks pretty good this way. But if I rotate the view this way, you can see that it will stay in line with the holes, but it can move side to side. So I need to add the width mate. I'm doing it the opposite way on this one that we did the first one. I'm going to go to Advanced Mate, Width, and the width and the tab selection, the order doesn't matter. I can select, manipulate the view and select this as the width, and then this as the tab, face to face, and these two faces. Make sure these are not edges, but these are faces. And now you can see that this is constrained. It will again rotate along each other. Now I'm going to continue on, and let's go width mate again, tab, or width, and then tab, and done. And then let's go to here and here, any one of these concentric ones as a standard mate concentric, and done. Advanced width, tab, or width. A lot of this is again manipulating the view. And then it's can be easy to get lost here. I'm going to now select, I think I might not have, I think I didn't say yes to that last mate, so let me do that again. In mates, advanced mate, width, tab, width, done. Standard, sure you get an edge, concentric is good, advanced, width, face, didn't even populate that. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Face. Follow along within your property manager. Make sure you're getting the selections correct. Face. and it will move that correctly. I'm going to say yes. Standard mate. Any one of these concentric edges. 2 edges. Concentric, yes. And then I've got to do one more, and that's going to be, I can start with a concentric mate here. Done. And then finish with a width mate. Advanced width. Face, 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 and done. Now, the chain is made. Make sure, again, this is the fixed part. If I exit out of there and go to my top part, this is the fixed part. See, in my design tree. These can rotate all the way around. I can grab this last one, and this thing will, if I put enough pedal power on this bike chain, I will get over the mountain. So, you can also, I'm going to be also checking it this way. If you look at the top here, you can see with the width mate it gives you exact clearance between each of these faces. It makes these with an even gap all the way around, which I'll be looking for. Okay? Now for the pins. The pins are relatively easy too. There's a few different ways to do these correct as far as mates. But each pin will have a mate. 2 mates, I'm sorry. So I'm going to select, for the mate selection, I'll select this face and this face. And if you notice, you don't have to hold control when you do this. So this is a really good example here, the way I have this. This is a coincident mate, which is correct, but the pin is not it's sticking in the wrong direction. So there's this little arrow here, which is the flip the mate alignment. So I'm going to depress this icon, and that flips the pin in the correct. Oh, I didn't want to flip that one. Let's go back. It actually, I don't think it matters because it's flipped to here. But I could actually do it. I think I can do a Control Z. That got rid of all of them. I'll try again. Mate. I'm going to do this face and this face. And the pin is in the incorrect direction, so I'm going to flip the mate. I'm going to say yes. And then I also need to add as another standard mate of this arc edge and this arc edge. Well, the default is concentric, so that looks good. I'm going to say yes. Now if you look at this closely, with the view, hide show, and my origins turned on, mine were already on, but you might have to highlight these. If I escape out of the mates, zoom in on this, and I can rotate this pin, and you can see it can't pull up or down, so it's constrained that this face and this face are on the same plane. And I can rotate this because it's a concentric mate between these 2 fixed arcs. So that's the assembly. I have 6. I'm going to add another one. Let's go with this face and this face. Not the edge, although I think the edge might work. Let's see. I think it does work to the edge. I'm going to flip the mate. It is coincident. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to select any arc and any arc here. By default, I'll get concentric, and I think that looks good. Again, I can rotate this, and my chain will continue to rotate. So continue along with one side, all of one set of pins. This is the pin head, I think. So this doesn't have the through hole. On this side, we have the alignment pins, and those have the through hole. So you're going to add these as well, and you can see from the back side, this is the pin, and I can, if I grab this correctly, I can rotate this pin head. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You can pull these down a little closer, make it a little easier for me to manipulate the view here. So I'm going to select mate, this face and this face. Flip that mate. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to select this edge and this edge. Again, I don't necessarily have to hold, I don't want to hold control. I'm going to say yes. And now this pin on this side, this is the alignment pin, and this is the pin head. And just continue along for the rest of this assembly, and it should look like this, of course, with all the pins installed correctly, with 2 mates. There's quite a bit of mates. It doesn't take you that long to get through these. You can highlight each one. Towards the bottom you can see I have these pin mates, and these width mates are between the single links and the double links. If you have any issues with any of the mates, just go in, open this up, just select them and delete them like this, and you can confirm delete and just add add the correct mate. I believe you can even flip the mate from here. Can you? You can't. Let's see. I open it. No, you can't flip it once it's done. So you might need to just delete. Oh, yeah, you can. You can just go in and edit the feature, and then flip it here. And then I'm going to do it. I'll save it that way, but that's incorrect, because the outside face of these are mated correctly, but the orientation is incorrect. So make sure you do this correctly, but you can go in and edit the mates. Make sure you have the summary information here. You have the correct file name. I'm going to save, rebuild, and did I not rebuild? I think I did. But there's another little trick to this, and this applies it's going to be on the final, it's going to be on all the assemblies, is in order to see this file, in order for me to give you a grade, I need all of these part files. So I need to be able to see all of these part files, and you have to submit them in a zipped folder. Now, the easy way to do this is to go into File, and there's a little option down here in the File tab that is Pack and Go. If you select Pack and Go, this is going to actually save all of these checked boxes. It's by default, everything's checked. This is the assembly file, all of the part files. It's going to select the files, or the file selected will be saved to the specified Pack and Go folder. Unchecked files must be made available to successfully render the model. So this goes to assemblies as well as to drawings. So I'm going to post the drawing extra credit this week too. And you got to include that model. You can use the Pack and Go. I'm going to save it to this folder. Actually, I'm going to even you can use the zip2 file, and it's going to not overwrite, because this is going to be a brand new file. This particular file, I think actually both of these are going to put this file within the file I've already created, and it's going to make new copies of all of these files. Okay. So I'm going to go save. And then if you look on the desktop where this was, you can see this is my original link assembly that I started with. But I didn't, the part files that I used for this link assembly, I got from here. I got from here, and I went into Mastercam 103, I went to all of this other location and got these. So, however, on my zipped file here, it saved not only the link assembly that I renamed, and I didn't rename these correct. I don't care about the naming. You should have already made these part files in the beginning of the semester, so you don't really have to do anything with these. So if it doesn't have your name, that's fine. I am going to be looking in the assembly file for the correct mates, the correct orientation, the summary information, and the correct file name with your name on it. So, but this is a copy again of all of these parts. So these parts, this assembly exists two places, here in this folder as well as in the zipped folder. Okay, now let me show you something else if you're not aware of correct file management. If I go up one, I'm going to actually delete this assembly file. I'll delete this part file as well. And I'm going to open, I'm going to double click on my zipped folder, and then I'm going to double click on my assembly file. And I'm going to say, it's asked me, it's for not available, is not available for write access. So I'm going to say open read only. Now it says automatically dismissing. Where are these files? Unable to locate. I can browse or suppress. I'm just going to let this time out. And you can see this file is not rendered correctly. There's no parts in here. And it gives me this little warning triangle. Can't locate the file. The reason why you can't locate the file is because where I opened this location is actually a compressed folder. So I need to right click, extract all. I'm going to say yes. It's going to extract this folder in the exact same location. I'll go up. So this is the same folder. This one is compressed. This one is extracted. So if I open this and then select the assembly, it will render, I'll say rebuild, it will render correctly just as I left it. So make sure a lot of this, these last few assignments, including the file, is correct file management, that you have all of these files in the same location, linked to the same place. You don't necessarily have to use the pack and go, and the advanced instructor is not a fan of me teaching you how to use this, but just be aware you have to include the linked. It's not just the file itself, the part files, but the part files have to be linked with the same file path, and you should be able to see it. Let's see, do we see a file path here? We don't see a file path here, but there's a specific file path that each one of these sees, and it has to be, if you change any of the wording on these, if you go in, let's say if I close this, I'm going to say save all, and I go back to this initial file, and let's say I take one of these letters out on the, not the alignment pin, but how about in the double link. I'll rename this as double link 2, and then I will open the same assembly, and let's see, it's asking me 9 seconds. It's unable to locate double link because I renamed it. So I'm going to say suppress this component, and it renders the file without the double links and shows this as a caution triangle because the file name was changed. So it's not only the location but the name of the part files. Any of that changes or is moved, and it will not render the assembly correct. So make sure you're using good file management techniques. If you don't want to use pack and go, one of the things you can do is just start out with a file assembly in a specific location, and as long as you only have that one file in there and you don't move it and you keep all the file names accurate, then you can just actually zip that file without using Pack and Go and submit that to me in Canvas for your grade. Okay, this is very, very key. The other thing about these assignments is these are 20 points each, so the next 3 weeks is 60 points. Do not miss out on any of these points. Okay, this one is, I think, relatively easy, getting you used to mates because you've already made these part files. Hopefully, most of you have. Okay, and I will post the extra credit drawing demo shortly, and maybe even by the end of this week I'll have the rest of the assignments up so you can tackle these within the next week or two.